Good morning, everyone. And thank you very much for this occasion to address you students. I love being with students, and I would never, ever have had this opportunity of coming into this august institution, which is, I think it's been here how many years? So many years, and I've never had a chance. I've never entered the portals of an engineering institution because I wasn't a student of engineering, nor were my children, nor is my husband. So this is the first time we've entered an engineering college. Thank you very much. Whatever the introduction they gave, I think was not really complete because I talk a lot. I was always said to be a chatterbox, and I was not ever a public speaker. So if you ask me to be very formal about speaking, it is not possible by me. I've come here to tell you, as I was earlier on talking to some of your friends, colleagues, students, I realized that the topic that I'm given was mastectomy, and this is what we have done. And many of you do not know, how many of you know what mastectomy is? Actually, mastectomy is removal of a complete breast. So I find there are a lot of boys over here. I call you boys because I'm much older to you all. I'm equivalent to your grandmom's age. So mastectomy is when a breast is removed because of cancer for a woman. There are a few male also get breast cancer. They have breasts, but it's not that often. So mastectomy is when the breast is removed, and nobody ever questions what the woman does after she loses her breast. Because cancer itself is such a stigma. Nobody wants to talk about it. So when you say cancer, immediately you stay away. And the treatment for cancer is very expensive. It eats away all your savings. You're blessed if you have some insurance covering you. Otherwise, you pay out of your pocket. And then the woman she has no choice. She doesn't know what she will do when she loses her breast. See, I think I'm straying away from whatever was given to me to be read, but this is something I had interacted with volunteers, with patients. When I started this, I did not know anything. I'm not a survivor. That's another question I'm asked. You're not a survivor, how did you start this? I'm not a survivor. I don't have any cancer patients in the family, touch wood. But while one of my trips to the US, I was browsing because I wanted to do something. Sitting at home, you need to do something, otherwise you're just wasting your time. And that was not like me. I never waste a single moment of my time. Time is very precious. I was browsing through the net and I saw something called knitted knockers. And at that time, the only word for knockers I knew was a door knocker. And I came to know later that knockers is the term the Americans use for breast. I didn't know that. So I just went in, saw it. It was very nice. They were providing free knitted and crocheted handmade breasts to the women who had survived cancer, removal of a breast. That seemed a good thing, so I said, okay, and I made a few and I sent it across. Everybody was happy. This is, see, even as a child, you would wonder why I started this. Even as a child, I have always been into giving to society, to the lesser beings who don't have that much. When I was in school and college, I've gone door to door begging to the extent, like I did my schooling in my 60s and 70s. I've gone begging even 1 rupee or 2 rupees per door. We collect it and we've given it to the underprivileged and the differently abled children, and also to the home for the aged, which is for the senior citizens. And my mother, who was a very strict disciplinarian, she used to, in those days, we had a fistful of rice every day we would put in a box. And at the end of the month, we would give it to some worthy person, or we'd give annadana. That is what we say, right? Donation, we'd make food and give it to the poor. So this has always been in my system. You can't take it out. So when I did this knockers and I passed it out. And I think it's a very nice opportunity to do something for society. That's it, and did that. I do a lot of work, like I do maybe scarves for babies, because as I said, with my mother being a disciplinarian when I was a child, we were taught to do sewing, needlework, crochet, knitting, and any handwork other than watching TV, which fortunately we didn't have. I got a TV only when I was I was entering college. That's when we got a TV. So we never watched TV, and radio was something we were not allowed to hear too much, except, of course, no English music was allowed in the house. So we used to listen to it very quietly without knowing what we were listening. Anyway, so all this gave me a hobby, which is, I now found, it has become a passion. It was very passionate for me, and I had focus. These hobbies give you focus. I want every one of you should have a hobby. It could be fine arts, it could be music, it could be anything, but a hobby has to be there besides your education. So when I did this, I came back home to India, and one of my relatives had breast cancer, a mastectomy had done. I went to meet her, and I asked her, what do you use instead? Out of just curiosity. I never even, it's not easy to talk about this to any patient. Nobody will come out and talk to you. I asked her, what do you use? She said, no, I roll up a handkerchief or a dupatta and put it in my bra. I said, oh, but this is something I gave in the US. Would you like to try it for me? She said, okay. And I completely forgot about it. For me, Saaisha India Foundation is, I think, I think it's God-given to me, I think, or destiny has made me this, because I completely forgot about what I had promised her. After about 2 months, I remembered, oh my God, I said I'll give her one, and I have not made one. So I immediately made a pair, and I gave it across to her. Next day, I get a call from her. She weeps. She's in tears. She says, Jayashree, this is so good. Why would you not give this to so many of us who were suffering? First of all, I didn't know you were suffering because of that. Just out of curiosity, I asked her, and she said yes, and I gave it to her. Then I said, okay, maybe we can do this. So I called up a couple of my friends. We were 4 or 5 of us who got together. I just floated the idea. And before that, I had, because in the US, I had given it to the knittedknockers.org. That was an organization that had gone into their website. I looked up their website, and they said that I can sign up as a provider in India. So I signed up with the knittedknockers.org as a provider in India. And when we met the volunteers, we met the 4 or 5 of my friends, they said, yeah, we can try it out. I said, are you sure? They said, yeah. I mean, it's just like a recipe, right? For us, you give us a recipe, we'll try it out. If it works, it works. Otherwise, it's not there. That's how it all started. We had no plans, no ideas. Then I wanted a name. They said, let us do Knitted Knockers India. I said, Knitted Knockers, I did not understand what knockers was, so I don't want to have the word knockers. I Googled and I checked out, Saaisha came. And Saaisha was a meaningful life, it said. And that made sense to me. Because every woman's life would become more meaningful. And so that was how we started Saaisha. This was on March 13th, very shortly we complete our 8th year, 2018. And then in 2019, September, I registered Saaisha India as Saaisha India Foundation. It is a charitable trust, and we registered it in 2019. And when I started in 18, I had just 5 volunteers. We didn't know where we were going, how we were going to do, what we were going to do, because none of us had cancer in the family, and we were all absolutely new to the whole concept. I didn't even know who to approach. So we started this, and the story is like, it is a real story. I mean, it's not a story, it is true, but it looks like a story when I talk to you. I have about 600 volunteers. 450 of them are active volunteers. And when I started this in 2018 and 19, I had just given up to maybe 250 pieces of knockers to patients. But now we give more than 5,000 a year. so far, we have helped around about 15,000 patients. Right, am I right? I'm just asking my husband. Because he keeps all the records. He is the backbone of Saaisha, the only male in a completely women organization. And we have about 15,000 patients. And we have so far met, I think we have connected with more than 250 hospitals and doctors pan-India. And all this is, I think it's just destiny, because just as you people invited me, there are people who call me and I don't even know who they are. But we are asked to create awareness, and I've come here today only to create the awareness amongst you children. I have a habit of flitting back and forth. I'm sorry. That tells you that I'm not a professional speaker. I talk only from my heart. And this path has not been easy. It has been very, very difficult. When I started, as I said, I didn't know who to approach. One of my friends, she said, we were looking for volunteers, and this is an organization run by women, for the women, by the women, of the women. There's nothing else in it. And we are all volunteers. There's not a single paid staff. And she asked me, you wanted me to volunteer, what is it? And I showed her. And then she said, I have my friend's son, who's a top radiologist in one of the big hospitals, and I was in Coimbatore at that time, down south. Would you like to meet him? I said, yes. I went to him. I had taken 2 pieces with me. The minute he sees it, he grabs it from me and he says, oh my God, this would help my patients so much. And that sort of validated the fact that what I had made was perfect. So that's how I'm telling you. It's something absolutely unknown. It happened, and that's how it has worked. And when it comes to, the problems we faced were, who do we approach? How do we create the awareness? How do we satisfy the doctors and the people involved to let them try out what we have made? How do we get the patients to accept this? These are all questions, and I had no answers for any of them. I have learned, one by one, we have learned the answers to all of this. It has been a complete trial, and I would say that we have been very blessed that we've been given the direction as to how to go about with the next step. And one thing I have to say is, our volunteers, we have got a wonderful band of volunteers. Many people have questioned me, you've got 400 plus volunteers, all women, how do you manage? There is no infight, there is no ego anywhere. No, we don't. I have a volunteer here with me who's been with me for the last 5 years. She has left behind all her work and she has come today to be with me. That is how our volunteers are. And so they are completely committed to the cause. The 600 volunteers that I have onboarded have all been spoken to by me. I do not onboard them till I'm convinced. I've taught them what the philosophy of Saaisha is, the ethics, and how we work. And I have spoken to each and every volunteer before I take them on. It takes a lot of my time, but that's worth it, because that is how we are having a committed group that works for the benefit of society. And they manage all our pages. That is, we have Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a YouTube, we have a web page. Everything is managed by volunteers. And we have, over the period of years, because of my husband and his background, we said, and the volunteers have said, we want to train the volunteers who come in. So we do training also once a week for those who are interested. All this is the effort of volunteers. And when it comes to the doctors, when I started, I didn't know who to approach. So if I got a call from anybody, I would immediately say, can you connect me with the doctor? And if possible, I'd take the doctor's number. And believe it or not, I just have to text the doctor that I'm so-and-so working for so-and-so, this is what I do, I'd like to speak to you. All the oncologists do give you a reply within 24 hours. This is something which is unbelievable, but it has happened. So it only stresses and makes it very clear that if your cause is good and your object is clear, ways just happen. It just happens. I just have to ask. So you don't lose anything by asking. You, on the other hand, you benefit when you ask. At the most, they can say, no, I can't help you. That's fine. That's their choice. It's not mine, it's their choice. I'm shameless, I'll ask again. Because I need the help, right? So never ever feel shy of asking. Don't feel bad. You're not any less a person when you ask for help or even questions. Men are known not to ever ask directions to way. I always tell my husband, you need to ask. No, I know the way. No, you can make a mistake. It's always good to ask. But be prepared to have rejections also. Accept that also. Rejections do come. I've had a lot of doctors telling me, what is there in it for me? Blessings of all the women you give it to. That's it. So you have to ask. No problem. Like, for instance, some hospitals have been approaching for the last 5 years. They haven't got back to me. They don't want our product. Fine. You will, when you want, the time comes, you will ask me for it. And it has happened. They've asked me now for it after 5 years. Now the doctor tells me, oh my God, my patients have lost over the years. I said, don't worry, they'll come back. Because when you do something good, it happens. And another thing about is, how do you manage your finances? Initially, we were managing with our own funds. We are both retirees. We manage with our funds. But now we do get small donations. And the patients who have taken from us are so happy. You should go and see our YouTube. Their feedback is so wonderful. And when you read all that, it makes me more and more want to continue doing what I'm doing. Because you can see the pain that they have gone through. And that is what reflects in their words that they give us as feedback. We have done a few surveys with our volunteers. I mean, these are all things we learned we need to do if we wanted to progress. The volunteer surveys were excellent ones. And last year we've done 3 surveys for the patients as well. And last year's survey with the patients was excellent. We learned their the psychological benefit that the knockers gave them, how they were feeling more confident of going out. A couple of them have told us that for 2 years they haven't been out of their house. And this has made them go out more confidently. Of late, we are getting very young girls in need. And they need it because they're going to work. I had early on in our work, I had a young girl from one of the IT firms. She hadn't even told her parents that she was going in for a mastectomy. And so these are stories. So all the more that we need to be aware that a woman is suffering like this, and we need to help. And any project that you start, the funds, the resources are not difficult. If your object is good work and the means are honest, the funds and the resources definitely come on your lap. So I want you all to please understand, cancer is not something that cannot be cured. And anybody suffering any illness, you need to be a support in your family.